Hello guys, we are here with this CAT 2025 slot 3 quant section. That's what we'll be discussing. I'll also make another video where I go about the LRDI section, but then that's for later. For now, we'll look at the quant section. The quant section, as you would see, those who have already written the test, if you're just reviewing this video, you already know what it was like. Those who have not got first-hand experience, then this is the place where you get to see the type of questions. So questions were challenging, uh, not at all direct. You cannot solve them using shortcuts. Okay, so the mere pursuit of such shortcut techniques and all that doesn't make sense in CAT. At least that's what is very clear from this year's CAT. It was anyways clear everywhere. Like concepts are the from fundamental pillars that you have for CAT quant. So this is first-hand proof that it is so. So we'll look at the questions one by one. So 22 questions. So let's take a look at the first one. So this one is saying, so x squared plus 1 over x squared is 25 and x is positive. Then you have to find this x to the power 7 plus 1 over x to the power 7. If you try doing this a binomial expansion, like x plus 1 over 7 to the power 7, then x plus 1 over x to the power 7, that would be a little complicated. So what we'll do is first try to figure out what is x plus 1 over x. Okay, so this can be thought of as x plus 1 over x whole squared, but then you'll get a 2ab term, like which is 2x times 1 over x, which is 2. We don't have that 2, so we'll subtract that. So this is basically this. So the 2 goes that side. So you will end up with x plus 1 over x equals 27 root. Okay. I'm not writing the minus sign because we clearly know it's a positive quantity. So that's 3 root 3. Now to get x to the power 7, easy way of going about this could be x to the power 4 plus trying with this and trying with this and try and seeing what we get by multiplying them. So let us first figure out what is x cube plus 1 by x cube. So if I cube this, then I'm going to get x cube plus 1 over x cube plus 3ab times a plus b, right? Cube of this, so 3 cube is 27. Root 3 cube means you get another 3, so 81 root 3. So this is gone. So we have x cube plus 1 by x cube is equal to 81 root 3 minus. Now this we already know is 3 root 3 here. So that's 9 root 3. So 81 minus 9 root 3. So that would be 72 root 3. So we can directly write that. Okay. We just plugged in this here. Then to get x4 plus 1 by x4, just square this. You get a plus 2 also. So let's write that as well. So plus 2 is equal to 625. So on the next step, get rid of the 2. Okay, we'll take it to the other side. So we will end up with 623. Now let us multiply these two. Okay, so we have x to the power 7. X cube times 1 by x4 will be 1 over x. Then 1 by x cube times x to the power 4 will be x. 1 by x cube plus times 1 by x to the power 4 is 1 by x to the power 7. And then we get 72 times 623 and you have a root 3. Now there is no harm if you just use the calculator here because it's a big calculation. So I'll just quickly do that. You have the on-screen calculator. I'm just doing it manually. 623 times 72 is 44856 root 3. And we know x plus 1 over x is 3 root 3. So if I get rid of this, then here also we'll remove a 3. So you get 44853 root 3. So that is the first option. Okay. The reason why we split it as 4 and cube is because it's easy to get to both. If I suddenly try to do x to the power 5 plus 1 by x to the power 5, won't be that easy, right? So that's the reason why we split it as this. Let's move on to the next one. So in a class of 150 students, 75 students chose physics, 111 chose math. So let's draw the Venn diagram. So physics 75, math is 111, and chemistry is 40. All students score at least one of the three subjects, means outsiders are 0, and we know the total is 150. At least one student chose all three subjects, so x, we know that x is greater than or equal to 1. The number of students who chose both physics and chemistry, so both physics and chemistry means these two, okay, this one and this one, is equal to, let's just make that region a little bigger, okay, yeah. So both physics and chemistry is equal to both chemistry and math. So chemistry and math and chemistry and chemistry and physics are equal. So that means if this is y, then this also has to be y, right? And this is, so that means this whole thing is half of the number of students who chose both physics and math. So both physics and math is twice of both of these two. Means this whole thing will be 2x plus 2y. But this is already x, so this is x plus 2y. Okay. The maximum possible number of students who chose physics but not math. Physics but not math is basically this. So the region that we need to find out is you have to maximize 75 minus 2x plus 2x plus 2y. So in short, we have to minimize x plus y. So if I get to minimize x plus y, then I'll get this part as minimized. If this gets minimized, then this part gets maximized, right? Maximum possible who chose physics but not math, we can take chemistry in that. So that is the question. So what do we have here? First thing, the total is 150. Okay. So if I call this A, B, C, so let's define exactly one, okay? E1 to be those who read or study only one of those subjects, A plus B plus C. Exactly 2 is those who study exactly two subjects, which is x plus 2y plus y plus y. So that is, if you add that, x plus 4y. And exactly 3 is x. Since this is 0, so the first thing is the sum of these three would be 150. So exactly 1 plus, because we are not really concerned with what is A, B, and C. So let's keep it as a single variable E1. And since we are interested in x and y, we'll write it E2 plus E3 like as, if I add them, 2x plus 4y. The other equation is if you add up the three values. So 75 plus 40 is 115. 115. So 75 plus 40 plus 111. So that is basically 115 plus 111. So that is 226. Okay. That is exactly 1 plus 2 times exactly 2 plus 3 times exactly 3. Because we are counting the double regions twice, the triple regions thrice. And that is 226. Okay. So that simplifies to, so if I write this little, so E1 plus, you have got 2x plus 3x. So 5x plus 8y is 226. Now, I don't really need the E1, right? So let's subtract these two. When I subtract 5x minus 2x, we have 3x plus 4y is, you have got 76. Okay. Now, if I have to minimize this, I could put x as 0, but I can't. Because then x as 0, since y has the highest coefficient, right? So it would give you the least value of x plus y. But I can't because there is at least one. So I have to put a multiple of, so it's a multiple of 4, a multiple of 4, a multiple of 4 will come. So x is 4. So if I put that 4, then it's 12. So we have 4y equals 76 minus 12. So that would be 64. So 4y is 64. So y is 16. So x plus y is 20. So if that is 20 there, this now becomes 40, right? 75 minus 40. So our answer is 35. So that is the second option. Okay. Let's move on. So the rate of water flow through three pipes are in the ratio 4, 9, and 36. So let's say the rates are 4x, 9x, and 36x. Okay. An empty tank can be filled up completely by pipe A. So this is let's say liters per hour. Okay, rates for A, B, and C. And says A can fill this in 15 hours. So that means the capacity of the tank is 4x as that rate for 15 hours, so 60x liters. So they're asking the time in minutes required to fill up the entire tank completely if all three are there. So their combined rate is 13 plus 36, so that's 49x. That's the combined rate. This is the capacity. So the time taken would be 60x over 49x. X cancels out. So this is almost like 60 over 50. So that is 1.2. So it's very close to 1.2 hours. And that is like 72 hours and slightly more than 72 hours. So obviously it is not going to be 76 hours. So the answer is closest option is 73 hours. Okay. Sorry, 72 minutes. My mistake. 1.2 hours, we are multiplying 60. Sorry. Yeah, 72 minutes, not 72 hours. Sorry, I was saying minutes. They asked in minutes, right? So 72 minutes, slightly more than that. So it is going to be 73 minutes. Yeah, sorry for that. That's what I was thinking. Like, what am I saying hours for? This is already now hours, right? So times 60, just a little more than that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So here they have asked the sum of all possible real values of x for which this equation holds true. So it's a logarithm based question. So logarithms are really very common on the test. So let us solve this. X squared minus 9, that's log of x plus 3 times x minus 3 base x minus 3. And this can be split. So I'm just doing the left hand term. So this is log of x plus 3 plus log of x minus 3, which is basically 1. So what you have on the left is 1 plus log x plus 3 base x minus 3 is log x plus 1 base x minus 3 plus 2. You can get rid of the 1, take it that side. Okay. And we can take this back and write it as minus. So our equation now would become log x plus 3 minus log x plus 1 is equal to 1. Which basically means log a minus log b is log of a over b. So getting rid of the log, we have x plus 3 over x plus 1 is x minus 3 to the power 1. So now just solve the quadratic. X plus 3 is x squared minus 3x plus x. So that is minus 2x minus 3 gets us x squared minus 3x minus 6 is 0. So x would be minus b plus minus root over b squared minus 4ac. So that's 24 by 2. So that's root 33. So x is 3 plus or minus root 33 over 2. For obvious reasons, x cannot be negative, because if x were negative, then this term will also become negative and the base cannot be negative. So we'll have to take only the positive sign, not the plus and minus. So getting rid of the minus, we only have 3 plus this as the value. And this is clearly greater than 3, because this root 33 is definitely greater than 5. Okay. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 by 2 is 4. So x is more than 4. So x is more than 4 means x minus 3 is not going to be 1 either. Okay. So that's the answer, option C. Right. That was the fourth question. Let's move on. Number 5. So this one is saying Rahul starts on his journey at 5 p.m. at constant speed so that he reaches his destination at 11 p.m. the same day. Okay. So starts at 5 p.m., reaches at 11 p.m. On his way, he stops for 20 minutes. So somewhere he stops 20 minutes. So that means the actual duration that he takes to travel is 6 hours minus 1/3 of an hour. Okay. And after that, increases his speed by 3 kilometers per hour to reach on time. So that means for a particular time, T1, he traveled at a certain speed, S. And let's call that small t. And for the remaining time, capital T, he traveled at 3 kilometers per hour speed higher than what it was, S plus 3. Right? So T hours and capital T hours, kilometers per hour, kilometers per hour. We know that the sum of the times is 6 hours minus 1 by 3. So that's basically 17 over 3 hours. Okay. So we can just write here 17 by 3 minus t hours. Okay. Now it says that if he had stopped for 10 minutes more, so that means he would have stopped for 30 minutes. So instead of 1/3, it would have been half. Half an hour he would have wasted. So this would have been then t hours, and then this would have been 6 minus half is 11 by 2 hours. At those two speeds. Here the speed would have been, if this was S, here it would be, he would have increased the speed by 5 kilometers per hour. So S plus 5 kilometers per hour. The thing is, here it's implied that the fellow has to increase his speed because he's stopping there for that time, right? So if he had not stopped for that much of time, he would not have to increase the speed. So that means if he had traveled this entire time at the same speed, its speed would have been S only, and he would have reached on time. So the question they have asked you is, what is the speed of the speed of this person initially, the initial speed in kilometers per hour. So you can set up the equation st plus s plus 3 times 17 by 3 minus t. That's the total distance d, right? Which is basically the same as st plus s plus 5 times 11 over 2 minus t, which is also the same distance. Okay. If he had, however, not delayed and not stopped, then he would have reached this entire distance in 6 hours, 6s. Okay. Because then in that case, the total time would have been just 6 hours and the speed would have just been just been s. So you have these three. So we'll do is this and this will equate, this and this will equate, and see what we get. Okay. So first let's equate this. So we have st plus 17 by 3s plus 17 minus st minus 3t is 6s. So that's gone. So we will take the 6s, the 17 by 3s that side, and the 3t that side. So 6s minus 17 by 3 is s by 3 plus 3t would be 17. From here we would have st plus 11 by 2s plus 55 by 2 minus st minus 5t is 6s. So that cancels out again. And 55 by 2 is 27.5. Now we have take the 5t that side and the 11 by 2s that side again. So 6 minus 11 by 2 is 1 by 2. So s by 2 plus 5t is 55 by 2, which basically means s plus 10t is 55. And this basically means s plus 9t is 51. Now if I subtract these two, clearly t will come out to be 4. And if I plug in the t back here, then s will come out to be 55 minus 40. So that will be 15. So the normal speed was 15 kilometers per hour. So that is the third option. So that was question number 5. Next we'll go to question number 6. The ratio of number of coins in the boxes A and B was 17 is to 7. After 108 coins were shifted. So let's take A and B coins 17, 7. 108 coins are shifted from A to B. So from A to B, 108 coins are gone. So let's take 17x and 7x, okay? This ratio became 37 to 20. Okay? But then 17 and 7, if you look at this, 17 plus 7 adds up to 24. And here this adds up to 57. But if you are just interchanging coins from one box to the other, okay, the total coins should have remained the same. Here it is not. So we'll try to make them equal. 24 is 3 times 8. This is 3 times 19. So we'll multiply this with 19 and we'll multiply this with 8 to make them equal. So if I multiply with 19, this will now become this 5, right? And 8 fives are 40, 45, 456. And so this will also be 456. And then 19 sevens are so 133 and 19 17s are so 133 plus 190. So 233, 223. So that adds up to 356. Yeah, okay. 450. No, sorry. 323. Right? 133 plus 200 is 333, 323, not 230, 23, 323. Yeah. And here we'll multiply 8. So this will become 160. And this would now become, just you can subtract or just multiply it, 296. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, if you look at this from here to here, the change is how much? 27. But the change is actually given to be 108, right? That means 108 were shifted. So this is 27 times 4 is 108. So that means you have to scale up the entire thing 4 times. So to make this 108, we'll multiply this with 4. So 92, 12, 92, 4 3s are 12, 52, 53, right? Yeah, and then here 4 times would make it, that's 300 times 4, 1200, 1200 minus 16. So that is 1184, right? Let's just check. Yeah, and 4 times here is 640. So 4 times here would be 912 times 2, 1824, right? It's working out. Yeah, 1824. So that also. So this is the entire set of numbers that we have, okay, which satisfies all the given conditions. So now they are saying the number of coins that need to be shifted further from A to B to make this 1 is to 1. So you have to make them equal. So 1824 divided by 2 would be 912. So this has to become 912. So how many do we need to subtract? 1184 minus 912. So 272 more coins have to be shifted and then they would become equal. So that's the answer, 272. So that was your question number 6. Okay. So we use the property of ratios straight away. Let's move on to the 7th number. So PQ are three natural numbers such that their sum is 900. Okay, so P plus Q plus R is 900. And R is a perfect square whose value lies between 150 and 500. So perfect square between 150 and 500. So 12 square is 144. So starts with 13 square, 14 square, 15 square, 16 square, and all the way it will go on till 23 square is 529. So 22 square is where it will end. So R could be any of these numbers. Okay. So there are 10 possible values of R. Now they are saying that P is not less than 0.3Q. So P is greater than or equal to 0.3Q and not more than. So that means less than or equal to 0.7Q. So we can write it like this. So that means P plus Q is going to be 1.7Q and 1.3Q. Then the sum of the maximum and minimum possible values of P. So you have to find out the values of P. To get the values of P, you have to figure out the value of Q, right? So, and PQR have to be natural numbers, okay? And they have to add up to exactly 900. So, if you look at some of these values here, if I write it down, so 22 square is 484, 21 square is 441, 20 square, then 19 square, 18 square, 17 square, then 16, 25, 196, and 169. These are the possibilities, right, for R. So let us just straight away get it in terms of P. So how do we do that? So as we saw here, R is P is not less than 0.3Q. So P is greater than or equal to 0.3Q. We write it as Q is less than or equal to 10P by 3. Let's write that. The other extreme is P is less than or equal to 0.7Q. So Q is greater than or equal to 10 by 7P. So once we have these two values of Q, so P plus Q, so that means basically we are saying Q is lying between this and this. So if I were to add P and Q, this would be 13 by 3 and that would be 17 by 7. Now, what we have is then P plus Q, whatever that is, plus R, which is basically one of these squares, right? 13 square, 14 square, and so on, is equal to 900. So that is 30 square minus R. Okay. So 30 square minus R would be, we'll put 13 square or 14 square or 15 square. So we can use A squared minus B squared. So we could have either 30 minus 13 times 30 plus 13 if I'm choosing R to be 13 square, or it could be 30 minus 14 times 30 plus 14, like this. Okay, possible values. Still you can go 30 minus 21 times 30 plus 21, or finally let's say 30 minus 22 times 30 plus 22, like this. Okay, and P plus Q is basically one of these. So now we have to minimize P. So to minimize P, we'll take the one with the largest coefficient, 17 by 7P. So we write 17 by 7P on one side. And on the other side, we have 13 by 3P. So here, if I 17 by 7 is basically 2 point something. So the coefficient is small. That means my value of P that I get from here would be large. 13 by 3, however, is like 4 point something. So the coefficient of P is large. So that means when I calculate using that, with some value. So that value will be divided by larger coefficient. So that will give me a minimum value. So the minimum will come from here and the maximum will come from there. Okay. So now the minimum P for the maximum P, now we have to decide what number R to plug in. And observe that there is a 17 on top, so we need to have on this side a multiple of 17. Okay. One thing that immediately comes to your mind is 30 minus 13 is 17. So if I use this, so that is 17 times 43. Any other number which would also give me a 17 would be here, 30 plus 21, which is 51. So 30 minus 21 is 9. So if I am using this value, then my value of P comes out to be 7 times 43, 301. Whereas here it comes out to be 7 times 51, sorry, 27. Not 7 times 51, sorry. 17 will cancel with 51, will get me a 3. So 3 nines are 27, 27 times 7. So that would be 189. Okay. Now you have to decide which one to take. Okay. Similarly, obviously, we'll take it on the higher side. Okay. Because we want the maximum value, not the lower one, right? Now from here, same logic, we need a multiple of 13. So clearly, if I had put 30 minus 17 there, so that means R is 17, right? Somewhere you would have also got 30 minus 17 times 30 plus 17. So that 17 term, 30 minus 17 will get me a 13. So that means here if I am using 13 times 47, my value of P comes out to be 47 times 3, 141. Any other value which can also get me a multiple of 13 is here. 30 plus 22 is 52. 52 is divisible by 13. Okay. So there 30 minus 22 is 8 times 52. So that will basically become 13 will cancel here with 4. So 4 eggs are 32. 32 times 3. 96. So obviously the minimum value will come from here. So we'll take 96. So the maximum value we have is 301. The minimum value we have is 96. In the question, they have asked us to find out the sum of those two. So 301 plus 96. So that's answer is 397. So what are the concepts we have used in this? First is knowing your squares, then inequalities, and then factors. Okay, being able to factorize this as a product of two terms and then figuring out which factors are divisible by a particular number like 17 or 13. Okay, so multiple concepts are all in the same question. All right, moving on. So that's number 8 next. A 4-digit number greater than 1000, sum of the digits. So let's take the number first. Let's say ABCD. Oh, sorry. So let's take the number A, B, C, D. So that's the thousands, hundreds, tens, and units. Now it says the sum of these is 15. So A plus B plus C plus D is 15. Sorry, D is not there. A plus B plus C is 15. Then hundreds, tens, and units. So if I add that, B plus C plus D is 16. And the tens place, that is C, is 6 more than the units place. C equals C plus D. The difference between the largest and smallest possible value. So you have to figure out possible values of the number. Okay. So to find the largest value, we have to maximize A. And for the smallest number, obviously, we have to minimize A. So we have to figure out two different values of A from here. So first of all, we subtract these two. So BCD minus ABC. So that is D minus A is 1. So we get D equals A plus 1. Okay. C is 6 plus D. So that is A plus 1 plus 6. So A plus 7. So we have got C and D in terms of A. Now, if C and D are in terms of A, then we'll get B in terms of A. So B would be 16 minus the sum. So the sum is 2A plus 8. So 16 minus this. So B will be 8 minus 2A. And finally, A is there by itself, right? A is A. So now, in terms of A, we have got everything. A, B, C, if I want to add them. So what do we have? A plus B plus C is 15. Yeah, so that is satisfied, right? So now we have to figure out the maximum and minimum possible values. So A's maximum value can only be 3 because if I put A as 4, then this B will become, sorry, the maximum possible value of A will become 4. because if I put more than 4, then this will become negative. So A max is 4 because B can be 0. There is no problem with that. So if A is 4, my number becomes 4, B is now 0, C is A plus 7. Now A plus 7 now becomes 11. So we can't have that. So we need to reduce. So we will put 2. So if A is 2, then we have 8 minus 4. So that is 4. B is 4. C becomes A plus 7. So that is 2 plus 7, 9. D is 2 plus 1, 3. So 2, 4, 9, 3. Obviously, minimum value of A can only be 1. It can't be 0. So if A is 1, then B is 8 minus 2, 6. C is 1 plus 7. So that's 8. And D is 1 plus 1. So that is 2. They have asked you to find the difference. So it is 811. So in a triangle ABC, so let's draw that. AB equal to AC is 12. So we have an isosceles triangle. D is the point on side BC so that AD is 8. And then AD is extended to a point E so that angle. So now since there is nothing mentioned about where that point D is, right? We can just go ahead and pick the middle point, okay? Let's just take the middle point. Let's say D. AD is 8. We can always have that. We can figure out what is in fact the length of BD and CD, right? Now AD is extended to a point E so that angle ACB, so that means this angle is equal to angle AEB. So that means this angle, right? And that is going to happen only if, as you can realize, that if this was a part of a circle. Not a very good circle though, but then yeah, you can just assume that this is a circle. So the angle on the same arc AB is equal. That's what has happened here. So they have asked you the length of AE. Okay. So as you can see here, uh, first of all, we can just maybe just calculate the value of this, okay, just in case. So we need it. BD, we have taken the midpoint, right? So we can very easily compute the value of BD. So it's root of 144 minus 64. So that is root 80. So let's keep that root 80 in case we need that. Okay. And if you look carefully, this triangle and this triangle are similar. Why are they similar? Because we have one angle given and the other angle is 90 degrees, right? We have made it happen. This angle would also in fact become equal because it's a part of a circle. Okay, if you had not taken that midpoint, then also it would have worked out because this angle would have eventually been equal to that, right? And these two would have been vertically opposite angles anyways. So now if I use the similarity, so triangle ADC is similar to triangle BDE. Okay, so we write down the ratios. AD over BD is equal to DC over DE is equal to AC over BE. So AD we know is 8, BD we know something is root 80. Let's keep that. DC is also root 80 and DE is what we need to figure out. And AC is given as 12 and BE we don't know. So if I just use this, very easily we'll get the value of DE. So DE is root 80 times root 80 is 80 over 8, so that's 10. So now if that is 10 and that's 8, so our length AE becomes 18. And that is our answer, option C. Next, move on to the next question. So here we have an exponents question. We have to just basically equate the powers of the primes, okay? So on the left hand side, we have 12, which is 2 square. So that means 2 to the power 24x will come, 3 to the power 12x. And 4 means basically 2 to the power, again double, 48x plus 24 times 5 to the power, this is 24, that's x. 5 to the power 2y. Here you have 2 to the power 12z and then 4. So this 2 to the power 24x again, and then 5 to the power 12x, and then 3 to the power 5. So that will be 15x minus 30, right? 243 is 3 to the power 5, whole to the power 3x minus 6 we are doing. So 5 gets distributed. So combining the two, so you have 272x plus 24, 3 is 12, 5 is 2y. On that side, you have got 2 12z plus 24x, 5 is 12x, and 3 is 15x minus 30. All right, getting hold of the 5s, we have 2y equal to 12x. So that gets you y equal to 6x. Getting hold of the x's from the 3's, okay, we have got 12x equals 15x minus 30. So that will be 3x equal to 30, x is 10. Hence y is 60. And finally, from the 2's, if I take the z's, so 72 times x, 720 plus 24 is 12z plus 24x, so that is 240. So 12z would be 720 minus 240, is 480 plus 24. So z will be 40 plus 2, so 42. So the sum of x, y, z, so that's 70 plus 42, so it is 112. Okay, let's move on. That's question number 11 now. A school with 1500 students, okay, and each student chooses one of the three streams of arts, science, and commerce. So science, arts, and commerce by paying a fee of 1100, 1000, and 800 respectively. The total fee paid by all the students. So if I have 1100 S plus 1000 A plus 800 C is 1550000. Okay. So cancelling out the hundreds we have now 11S, 10A, 8C is this. So that's our equation number 1. Okay. Right. Next, if the number of science students is not more than the number of arts, so that means you're saying science is less than or equal to arts, the maximum possible number of science students. So you have to make science max. Okay. So now since science has a coefficient of 11, right? So, and arts has a coefficient of 10, 11. So if I take the extreme case where they are equal, science and arts are equal, okay? So we would have ended up with 21S, okay, plus 8C equals 15500. Okay, before that, we have one more equation where we have the total number of students is 1500. So we have, let's write that down, S plus A plus C is 1500. So what we can do is get rid of the C, okay, instead of doing it that way. So let's multiply that with 8. So 8S, 8A, 8C is 12,000. And subtract. So we'll get 3S plus 2A is 3,500. Okay. Now we know that S is less than or equal to A. So if S were equal to A, so you'll get 5S equal to 3,500. So that means S would be 700. Now if S becomes greater than this, okay, so S cannot be greater than A first of all. So that means the upper limit is basically 700. Yes, so because we have S is less than or equal to A, right? So if I make S smaller, then obviously it is going to become smaller than 700. So we don't want that. So we'll keep them as equal. That's the upper limit. So number of science students is not more than arts. So that means science is less than or equal to arts. All right. So The maximum we have is 700. So that's the answer to the 11th question. Let's move on to the next question. In the AP, so we have arithmetic sequence. The fourth term is a plus 3D. The general conventions. A is the first term, D is the common difference. The seventh is a plus 6, and the 10th is a plus 9, and that is 99. So we have got 3a plus 18. 3a plus 18d, that's 99. We'll divide by 3. A plus 6d is 33. Okay, that's number one. The sum of the first 14 terms. So 14 terms means first term plus the 14th term, which is a plus 13d, divided by 2, multiplied with 14. Okay, first term plus last term by 2 times 14, that is 497. Cancelling with 7. So we have got another equation. 2a plus 13d is 71. So double that. 2a plus 12d is 66. So d is 5. Plug it in. A is 3. So we have these values. Okay. So now the sum of the first five terms is the question. So sum of the first five terms is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So we can just take the third term. Okay. The third term is a plus 2d. So that will be 3 plus 10. So that is 13. Once we know that the middle term is 13, the sum of the five terms will be just 5 times of that. So 65. Right? Because the middle term is the arithmetic mean. So the answer is 65. So that was question number 12. Let's move on. So fx here is x squared plus 3x. So that is clearly x squared plus 3x times x squared plus 3x plus 2. So whole squared plus 2 times x squared plus 3x. And clearly from here we get fx plus 1 is 9701 squared. So that means fx is 9701 squared minus 1. Let's keep this. This one we can factorize first of all, 9701. So this is a squared minus b squared. So 9701 minus 1 times 9701 plus 1. So that would give us 9700 times 9702. Okay, let's keep it this side and let's focus on this. What is fx actually? If I can factorize further, x squared plus 3x gets factorized as x times x plus 3. And this gets factorized as x plus 1 times x plus 2. So if you look at this, it's x, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. So product of four consecutive numbers is 9700 times 9702. Now obviously this has to be factorized as four consecutive numbers. So clearly we can see here 97 and 100 are two close numbers, right? So we have to factor this out. 9702. So we have a hunch that 9702 is most likely having 96 as a factor or 98 as a factor. So we can just check that in a calculator and see which one works. So if you divide 9702 by 96, it does not divide. 98 divides, and it's 98 times 99. Okay. So that completes our four consecutive terms. So 98 times 99. In fact, 96 wouldn't have worked either because 96, 97, and we have 100, so it would not have been four consecutive numbers. It would have to be 98, 99. So clearly our x is the smallest of them, so could be 97, or we could have also written it as the largest 100 becomes the smallest minus 100, minus 99, minus 98, minus 97. So 97 or minus 100 as the two values of x. So the sum of the values, real roots, would be minus 3. So that is the first option. All right, let's move on. Number 14. So ABCD is a trapezoid in which AB is parallel to CD. So let's draw that. And AD is perpendicular to AB. So we have got like this. C is somewhere there. This is D. And AB is thrice of DC. So AB is slightly longer. Let's make it a little long. Okay, these two are parallel, so that means this also has to be 90 degrees. Now a circle is drawn inside it so that it touches all the sides. So the circle is drawn like this. And the circle touches all the sides of the trapezium. The radius is 3. So we have got this. These are all 90 degrees. And let's call this P, Q, and R maybe. We have to figure out the radius, the area of the trapezium. Okay. So the area of a trapezium is sum of parallel sides multiplied with the distance between them. We already know the distance between them is 6. We just need to figure out QB and PC and BS. Basically, that's how it would work. So first of all, we know that if this is L, tangents from the same point are equal. Or let's take P and Q, or let's say X and Y. So this is X, and that's Y here, that's Y there. Okay. Now we know that AB is thrice of DC, so we can write that CD is P plus Y plus 3. So 3 times of Y plus 3 is 3 plus X. So X comes out to be 3Y plus 6. So we have got X. Now let's just draw a dotted line like this, okay, perpendicular, completing this right angle triangle. So in that right angle triangle that we have, this part is X plus Y. X we already know, so X plus Y will be 4Y plus 6. Now this is basically the same as CD. And since AB is thrice of CD, so that means this part is twice of CD. So that means from here to here, that means this part is twice of CD. So that is 6 plus 2y. And this is 6. So we'll solve the Pythagoras theorem. 6 plus 2y whole square. So 36 plus 4y squared plus 24y plus 36 is equal to 16y squared plus 36 plus 48y. And 36 goes there. And we have 4y squared goes there. 12y squared plus 24y minus 36 is 0. We cancel by 12. Y squared plus 2y minus 3 is 0. So y plus 3 times y minus 1 is 0. So we get y as 1. The moment we know y is 1, so then this becomes 4 and this becomes AB becomes 12. So we have the area as half. The sum of sides 12 plus 4 times the height 6. So 12, 16 threes are 48 is our answer. Okay. So that is the third option, C. Okay. Moving on. The sum of the digits of this number. So if I look at this number here, 10 to the power 50 plus 10 to the power 25. So it's 1 followed by 25 zeros. Okay, like 10 to the power 1 is like 1 followed by 1 zero. So there will be 25 zeros. And you are subtracting 123. First, I'm just doing this part. So that means you are going to get 7, 7, 8, and this will all be 9. And here there were 25 of them. So 3 of them are gone. So 22 zeros would have been left, but then these would all now become 9. So that will be 22 times you have got a 9. Okay. And this would now become 0. Right. Now when you are adding 10 to the power 50, there's no change here. They're all zeros. And at the end, somewhere you will get another 1. So the sum of the digits is 9 times 22 plus 8 plus 7 plus that 1 at the end. So that is 198. That's 14 plus 8 is 22 plus 1, 23. So that would be 221. So that is the second option, B. Let's move on. So it says that the monthly sales of a product where 120, 135, 150, and 165 units. The cost price was 240 per unit, and the fixed, this is the cost price, and the fixed market price was used for the product in all the 4 months. So there was some market price, let's say X, and the discounts were 20%, means you have sold it at selling price would be 0.8x, 0.9x, 0.95x, and here it was just X. Okay. The total profit was 138825. So since the number of units are all different, so what we'll have to do is we can always reduce the whole thing by 5, okay, but multiply it out and then again subtract and then scale it up again by 5, or divide this thing by 5 and make it slightly easier to work with, okay? But it doesn't really matter. We can just multiply as it is. So the total selling price would be 8 times this is 96x. 0.9 times 135 would be this. Then 150 times 9.95. Maybe we can just take the use of the calculator. 150 times 0.95 is 142.5, and here 165x. And the sum of all of these, so that would be 142.5 plus 121.5 plus 165 plus 100 minus 4, right? So that's 525x. That's your total selling price. But the total cost price, you have to multiply the total number of units with 240. So total number of units is easy. So 165 plus 135 is 300. 300 plus 100. So 400, 500, and 70. So 570 times 240 is basically the total. 570 times 240 is 1368, right? So the total profit would be this minus this, which is equal to this. So that means we have got 525x is equal to this plus this. So if I add that 138825 and we divide it by 525, so we'll get 525 back again. So that means the answer is the second option. Oops, sorry. 525, second option. Okay. So it was just a calculation based question. It would have made sense to use the calculator there. Let's move on. The triangle ABC is now formed with AB and AC equal to 50 and BC is 80. So let's draw 50, 50, and 80. So to find out the altitudes, let's figure out the semi-perimeter. That would be sum of the three sides, 180 by 2. So that's 90. So the area would be root over 90 times 90 minus 50 times 90 minus 50 times 90 minus 80. So you've got 900 square root 30 and 40 square, so 40. So area is 1200. So 1200 is half times base times height. So that would be 2400 by 80. So first height is 30. Then the same logic, your next height would be 2400 divided by 50. So that would be 48. And the other one will also be 48. So we'll just add them up. 96 plus 30, 126. That will be the answer to that. So that's your 17th question. Next. Anita walks from A to C through B and runs back the same route. So that is 40% more than her walking speed. She takes exactly 3 hours 30 minutes to walk from B to C, as well as to run from B to A. And she's going, while running, the speed is 40% more. So that means walking, if I take at the rate of, you can just assume something like maybe 10 kilometers per hour. So then running is at the rate of 14 kilometers per hour. Okay. So that means this distance would be 10 times 3.5, so 35 kilometers. And this distance would be 14 times 3.5, so 2 is 749 kilometers. So that means the total distance is 84 kilometers. So they're saying the total time she would take to walk from A to B. All right, so 4.49 kilometers walking at 10 kilometers per hour, so 4.9 hours. And 35 kilometers at 14 kilometers per hour, so 35 by 14 would be 2.5 hours. So that would be 7.4 hours. So 7.4, if I multiply with 60, that would be 444 minutes. So that is the answer to this question. So that is your 18th one. Next, number 19. Vessels A and B contain 60 liters of alcohol and 60 liters of water respectively. Okay, so 60 liters alcohol and 60 liters water. A certain volume is taken out from A and poured into B. So let us say X liters is taken out. So now you have 60 minus X liters here and 60 plus X liters here. Now after stirring, the same volume is taken out. So you have taken out X liters back. So here it was X liters alcohol, but here it is X liters mixture. The resultant ratio of water, alcohol and water in A is 15:4. Right? So you have to figure out the volume in liters initially taken out from A. So one way is obviously we make a table. So here you have alcohol, water, starting 60, 0, 0, 60. X is gone. So 60 minus X, 0, X, 60. Now the same volume has to be taken out. So the ratio is X is to 60. So when X liters is taken out in the ratio X is to 60, this would be X over X plus 60 times X. So X squared by X plus 60. And this would be 60X over X plus 60. So when you're taking that out, for alcohol, you would add 60 minus X plus X squared by X plus 60. And the water would be, it was 0, will now become 60X over X plus 60. And this ratio is 15:4. So you can just solve that. So divided by this is 15 by 4. So 4 times of this is 15 times of 60X over X plus 60. Okay. Right. So, okay, we have to now simplify. There is no other way of working out this. What we can, however, do is get out the 4 out from here and divide it by this side. So maybe one reduction. So that's 225 now, 225x. So we have to multiply with x plus 60 throughout. So when you multiply with 60 plus x, this is 3600 minus x squared plus x squared is 225x. So that's gone. So x would be 3600 divided by 225. So 3600 and 225 is 900 by 4. So 900 and 3600 cancel with 4. 4 by 1/4. So that is 16. 16 liters is the answer. Let's move on. So to find the range of this function, so what we do here is, let's assume this fx to be y. And cross multiply and give it a quadratic form. Okay, so 2x squared y plus 4xy minus 6y is 2x minus 3. So this is x squared times 2y. The x terms now 4y, the get 2x comes this side minus 2, and the constant terms 3 minus 6y is 0. So obviously x has to be real. Only then we have a valid function, right? So for real x, the condition is b squared is greater than or equal to 4ac. Simplify. 16y squared plus 4 minus 4 to the 8 to the 16y is greater than or equal to, so this is 8 times 3, 24y, and 8 times 6 minus 48y squared. Now simplifying again for bringing these two terms on that side. So 48 plus 16, 64y squared minus 40y plus 4. Divide by 4, 16y squared minus 10y plus 1, right? Now factorizing, 16y squared minus 8y minus 2y plus 1. So if I take out 8y common, so we'll end up with 8y minus 1 times 2y minus 1. So the roots here would be 1 over 8 and 1 over 2. Right? And since it is greater than, since the curve would be like this, right? For a quadratic with positive y squared term. So this is how it will look like, parabolic. And we want greater than, so we look at these two ends. So our solution is y is either less than 1 over 8 or greater than or equal to 1 over 2. So less than 1 over 8 till minus infinity. So this one, and half to infinity. So that one. So that's the third option. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we have got two left. So the average salary of 5 managers and 25 engineers is 60,000 rupees. Okay, so let's call the average salary of the managers to be M. Okay, and for that engineer would be, let's say E. So rupees M, rupees E. Right now there are 5 managers, so their total salary rupees 5M, and here 25 E. Now it says that if the managers got all of them, each of them got 20% increase. So 20% increase, the engineers remained unchanged, 0% increase. Overall, it says that it would increase by 5%. So using the allocation method, so this side the difference is 5, this side is 15. What we have is 1 is to 3. Now what is this? 1 is to 3 is the ratio of the total salary. Okay, because the percentages are applied on the total salary, right? So this is not necessarily the ratio of the number of people or the salary per person. It's the total salary ratio. So total salary we already know 5M and 25E. So this ratio is 1 over 3. So we get M by E to be 5 by 3. Means this is 5x, let us say, and this is 3x for M and E. Now we know that the average salary of 25 engineers and 5 managers is 60,000 rupees. Okay, so we can plug it in. So 5 times 5x plus 25 times 3x divided by 30 is equal to 60,000. So here we have 100x is 60,000. So x will come out to be 18,000. Now the question they have asked is the average salary of the engineers. The average salary of the engineers is M, and M we have is, sorry, average salary of the engineers. So that is E, right? E. So and E we have is 3x. So the question is asking what is 3x? So clearly 3x would be 54,000. So that is the fourth option. Right? Let's move on to the next one. Right, the last question, number 22. So teams A, B, and C consists of 5, 8, and 10 members. Okay. So you've got A, B, and C. There's 5 people, 8 people, and 10 people. Okay. Each member within the team is equally productive. Okay. We're working separately. These guys take 40 hours. They take 50 hours. And they take 4 hours. All right. So that means effectively a single person would have taken 200 hours. A single person here would have taken 400 hours. A single person here would have taken 40 hours. Okay. So what we do is we take the LCM of this and we decide the work to be 400 units. Okay, to avoid all fractions and calculations. So now, since each person takes 200 hours and they complete 400 units, so that means each person is doing 2 units. So this means this person here, each of the members here, so 2 units per hour each. Similarly, 400 hours, 400 units. So this is 1 unit per hour each. And here 40 hours. So this is 10 units per hour each. So instead of taking the work to be 1 unit, it is better to do it like this so that we avoid all fractional values, right? Now, once you have got the efficiencies, now what do we have? It's saying 2 members of A. So 2 of A, 3 of B, and 1 of C. They are going to start the job and they will work for 23 hours. So let's figure out how much work they do. So 2A would be doing 4 units, 3B 3 units, and 1C would do 10 units. Right? This is 10. So this times 23. So that is 17 times 23 basically. So that is 391 units are done. Now that leaves us with 9 units left. Okay, 9 units remaining. Now you're saying that C is leaving the job, and instead of C, some people from B will join. So this 2A and 3B are still continuing, and they will complete the job in the next 1 hour. Okay, within the next 1 hour, they will finish off the 9 units. So 2A would do 4 units, and 3B would do 3 units. The 7 units are done. So I need someone to do 2 units since it has to be B. So we need 2 such Bs, right? So that they can do the 2 units. So 2 people would join from B. So that is the first option. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this section. I hope you were able to understand how we are approaching the questions. As you can see here, none of the questions are straightforward except maybe 1 or 2 or 3 maybe, which could have been done in like in 30 seconds or 40 seconds, stuff like that, right? In most of the cases, you had to work on the calculation also. None of them were short questions in that sense. You have to work on the calculation as well as the flow of the concept, that how you should actually attempt a question. That flow has to be very clear and you have to follow that structure to solve it. So for preparing for CAT 2026, my suggestion is please focus on your concepts. Okay, that is what will save you. Shortcut tricks and formulae will not be of any help. The concepts would be the main thing that we should be working on. Thanks for watching.